So, Marvel just recently released their newest game called Marvel Rivals, a game that a lot of people seemed really excited for. As of recently, it boasts 10 million players within 72 hours after launch. Marvel Rivals is a third-person hero shooter game that allows you to play a bunch of Marvel heroes and a few villains in different lines of matchups, where you can use special abilities and tactics and other combat to win the game. It's basically like Overwatch, but Marvel themed. And because I like Marvel and I kinda like video games, and especially since it's free, I tried it out and I'm glad to say so far I really like the game. So I'm basically gonna give a short little review of my thoughts on the game so far and just some stuff I would like to throw out. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so I want to start with the art style and design of the game, because I really love it. Now, it is very similar to games like Overwatch, and even reminds me of Friends vs. Friends in a way, but even so, it's really good. It definitely hits the style of a comic book, which is very fitting for Marvel. I love the attention to the detail of the maps, and especially the characters. I've heard some complaints about character designs, but personally, I like the complicated looks because it has so much detail and care put into it, and I'd say for a game like this, it works, and regardless, it still looks pretty cool in my opinion. Obviously, everybody has their own tastes in character suits and designs, but again, for me, I personally like quite a few of them, especially for characters I care more about. I don't think there's much to say, but the game is very pleasing to look at. There doesn't seem to be any negative sign or error within the art style when in combat or just moving around the map. So far, I have no issues with it whatsoever. The color and art style is catchy, and for me, I never get sick of looking at it. I always love video games that take more of a comic book direction. Like I mentioned before, Friends vs. Friends, I love the art style of that game, and Marvel Rivals reminds me of that, so I'm definitely happy. As for performance / combat or movement, it's good. It's obviously not groundbreaking or revolutionary gameplay. Again, it's similar to Overwatch, but once you figure out the controls and how everything works, the actual movement of the characters, using special abilities, and overall combat works amazingly. However, I do think there may be some improvements to make, such as the running option, for example. This is where I think my critiques are more personal and kind of nitpicky, so bear with me here please. From playing characters like Spider-Man or Iron Man, even though I am running in this clip right here, I'm only using the only key that allows me to move forward. So there is no other key for a running option, which can kind of make the characters feel slow at times. But that's my only kind of complaint with the movement. Everything else works well for me. As for combat wise, I am liking it. I feel like it's kind of subjective a little given which character you decide to play as. Each character comes with their own sets of abilities and attacks, which will drastically change how you combat other players. For example, Hawkeye's main tactics are his bow and arrows, Iron Man with his blasters, Spider-Man with his webs, or the Punisher with his guns. There's many ways you can use your attacks and abilities to outperform your opponent, basically giving you creative freedom on how you want to use your attacks together. Spider-Man is my go-to, and my main way of attacking is yanking them over, performing a massive uppercut, and beating the heck out of them, and it is super fun for me. So your style of combat kind of varies given which character you choose. Also, a nice note to add, with each hero and villain having their own capabilities, if you pick the right characters and team up with each other, you can have extra certain abilities to help you in combat. So for example, if you pick Spider-Man or Penny Parker, and if another player picks Venom, Spider-Man and Penny Parker will gain a symbiote expulsion, which can deal some damage to your opponents. Or if you pick Black Panther and two of your teammates pick Magik and Psylocke, Black Panther and Psylocke can tap into Limo to rewind a few seconds back to a previous position, which will gain bonus health based on missing health. So whoever you choose is definitely going to change the way you play the game. In my case, I've only been using Spider-Man since he is my favorite superhero. Obviously, it's not perfect, as I think there's so much more Marvel Rivals can add to these abilities and attacks. In Rivals, there are a bunch of different methods and keys you can use to make combo attacks, or just overall outperform your opponent in different ways to win, and things like that, which is great. But I see a lot of room for so much more. Again, let's take a look at my case. Spider-Man in this game can web swing for a short moment, shoot web balls, yank his opponents over, perform slam attacks, an air punch, general punches, and a webbing special move. Now, there's no complaint about these moves, but I've also played the Insomniac Spider-Man games, and there's so many more things you can do in terms of combat, such as sliding beneath your opponents, performing finishers, performing a swing kick, swinging your opponents in circles, swinging environmental objects, using web gadgets, or doing flips over your opponents to dodge the attacks. Insomniac invites more different types of combat than Rivals does. The combat Spider-Man has in these 3 games is much better than Rivals, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing. What I am saying is I think Marvel Rivals can add so much more combat abilities or movements to enhance their combat. Now, I'm not saying to give Spider-Man like big gadgets or anything, but give him ways to fight like more creatively. Again, like performing swing kicks or swinging environmental objects at your opponents can open up more possibilities and more creativity towards combat. And this can go for all characters, which can definitely open up to more different uses of combat and use different styles of fighting. And I definitely think adding finishers would be super cool, but hey, that's just my opinion. Combat, for what it is great, but I definitely do think more can be added to improve the combat. As for modes, you really have 5 options besides the tutorials obviously. There is Quick Match, Conquest, Custom Game, Practice vs AI, and Competitive. Quick Match allows you to team up with other online players to fight your enemies and complete certain tasks to win the game. Competitive allows you to show off your skills and prowess of the game, which can earn you some rewards. Conquest is basically a 6v6 team deathmatch. Custom Game speaks for itself, and Practice vs AI speaks for itself. And of course, there's the championships. Now, for me, I've only played the Conquest and Quick Match, and they are all very entertaining and do require teamwork, which definitely adds to the fun. Now, I don't have any complaints towards the multiplayer modes, but for me, there are 2 things I definitely do like to voice. One is for more maps on the Conquest mode, as that game mode only allows you to fight on just one map only. I definitely want to fight in other places, like maybe in space or in New York Central Park or something like that. Just add more maps. And my second thing is, well, it's not really a complaint, but more as an idea, because I myself am not the biggest multiplayer guy. I thought about what if Marvel Rivals added single player missions or campaigns for their characters so they can unlock certain abilities or rewards for that particular character. It's better to just, I guess, use it in an example. Okay, so we all know Marvel Rivals will keep on adding more skins and cosmetics to their shops and battle passes and stuff, right? So what if Marvel Rivals creates a mode where you can play single player campaign missions in order to unlock certain rewards like skins, cosmetics, or currency? Not stuff that you would usually get in the shop or in the battle pass. Now, I'm not saying make a whole story like Spider-Man 2 or something. Just make it short. Like, just take the Sandman boss mission from Spider-Man 2 and just make it like that for all characters. That way, there's more stuff for players to do outside of multiplayer and allow them to experience other ways of fighting in this type of game. Again, that's just an idea, not something I'm totally serious about or have real strong feeling towards. It's just, I'm not the biggest multiplayer guy, and I definitely would like to do other stuff than multiplayer fighting. But even if they don't add it, that's just fine with me. I'm just throwing out ideas. But back to the modes that we do have, they're all super fun and interesting to play, but these modes really depend on who you play with and who you choose as your character. It's definitely a good thing that this game added a custom mode where players can just create the game, basically kind of giving up a little more creativity for us. And the other stuff like the battle pass, costumes, and cosmetics don't really need much to explain, I think. So far, they added suits and stuff from the MCU movies, which are great, and they are obviously just gonna add more to the future, along with possibly Marvel Classic suits and other comic suits and their own custom suits, which I have no problem with. One thing I do like to mention though, and it's actually very cool, is Marvel Rivals Battle Pass. It's cheap, and once purchased, battle passes will be permanently unlocked, which means players can continue to unlock pass rewards even when the season ends. So players will have permanent access to unlocking their tiers. Obviously, to progress, you need to complete tasks and missions, of course, and stuff, rather than just playing the game. But for what it's worth, it's technically up to you. If you have $5 to spare, then it may be worthwhile. But again, that's just your choice. If you're willing to spend $5 and complete challenges to unlock Marvel Rivals currency, specific costumes, emotes, and other rewards, then that's great for you. All in all, I don't have serious major gripes with the game, and the only quote-unquote gripes I do have are just things that I think can be added to the game to make it more fun. I know this game just came up, and I definitely believe over time they will be adding much more to the game, kind of like how Fortnite constantly changes up their games and ways to play. I do think Marvel Rivals will add on similar stuff that I just said in terms of new maps and new characters to play as. We definitely need Deadpool, Ghost Rider, Ant-Man, Fantastic Four, Shang-Chi, and more. I definitely do think combat can be improved with more tactics and abilities to get more creative and better performances to make the game more competitive. The other stuff, like I mentioned with the character short campaign missions, are just stuff that can be added for players to do other stuff than just multiplayer. So far, from me, Marvel Rivals gets an 8 out of 10. For what it is right now, Marvel Rivals, while not groundbreaking or insane and definitely has a lot of room for potential and improvement, it's definitely enjoyable in terms of looks, performance, playability, and just for general fun. If you haven't tried this game out, definitely check it out. It's available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series S, Netflix, whatever. I don't know these Xbox titles anymore. Also, I know that it's been like 3 months since I last uploaded, and that's because I've really just been kind of holding off a little on uploading to focus more on my faith and scripture, and because of that, it's been causing to kind of rethink this channel a little, and right now I'm just kind of experimenting with this channel with the videos I make, kind of like with this one, so that's just kind of why I haven't really been posting as much, but I am trying to kind of like keep up. Anyways, I hope you all have enjoyed my review and wish you guys a very blessed day. See you all in the next one. Bye.